into the future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a no, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So everybody's losing their ever-loving minds. Even people that were all stoked to have Trump become president of these United States of America and, of course, leader of the free world are part of the collective global sharp intake of breath at the moment. And people are screaming and yelling and ranting and raving about all these things about what is waiting for us right around the corner. Donald Trump becomes president tomorrow. And you know what? I was just like, it's boring and it's exhausting, screaming and yelling about all this stuff. He will actually be president soon enough. And then we're going to have some stuff to talk about. So for this week, besides a cursory glance at the situation occasionally, we've been mostly avoiding it. And, well, I think we're going to continue to do that today. Why? Because our former intern and host of the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world, we're still trying to figure out exactly how that statement is qualified, is our guest on the show today. Koncept 714 is in the studio.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yes.
This is Koncept 714, host of WakeTheFlock.net, the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world. You are now listening to AD on your radio. Whoa. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's good to be back.
Much.
It's good to be
And you know what? As opposed to all things sort of like presidential and political, let's catch up a little bit. Koncept.
Well, my thoughts on Donald Trump are accepted.
Hold on.
Okay.
We'll work our way into that. That's an abruptness with which you should not start these conversations. I've noticed on the radio and in real life, you don't just dive straight into that. Otherwise, people might get their feathers ruffled.
Sure.
We certainly wouldn't want to do that around here. So let's catch up. How you been? Did you have a good Christmas?
I had an amazing Christmas. I played Santa Claus the entire day, and I literally played Santa Claus.
Like what? You dressed up?
Yeah. So the wife goes, "I have a great idea. How about you be Santa Claus this Christmas?" I'm like, "Oh, sure. I'll stand in front of the tree and half drunk, pass out gifts." So sure. She actually bought a suit. Like a whole red.
So you thought she was just like, you be the distributor of presents this year.
Yeah.
And you did not know it was going to involve a costume. Was there, gosh, I wish we could see this. Are there pictures of you being, doesn't it get hot, like you're in California, doesn't it get hot dressed as Santa Claus all day long standing by the fireplace?
It is. It was extremely hot. And when you have, a gallon of rum in your belly, that does not help.
Your body's trying to get rid of the your body's trying to get rid of the toxins anyway. So were you perspiring heavily in your Santa Claus outfit whilst handing out half drunk, completely drunk from the sounds of it, So you were sweating, drunk, dressed as Santa, handing out gifts to your kids over the holidays. That's how you spent them?
Sweating profusely in front of a tree. Now picture this, right?
Wait, hold on. Do we have to picture it, or is there photo documentation of?
Yeah,
Wait. Are there pictures? There's got to be pictures.
I paint pictures with my words, AD. Okay.
There's pictures, and we're gonna see.
Yeah, I already asked the wife to send me some. So as soon as I get them, I'll send.
The wife has. Wait. The wife. Hold on. I'm just slowly piecing this all together in my mind and setting myself a scene. Mm-hmm. You don't have the pictures.
I do not.
But as you were completely in the bag, dressed as Santa Claus, perspiring profusely, handing out presents to your kids, your wife was like, clickety click, click, click. I'm gonna take pictures of sweaty Claus over here,
right,
and save them for later. Do you think she has a thing for you dressed as a sweaty Santa? Like next time you are looking to add to your ever-growing family, do you think she's going to whip out the pictures of sweaty Claus before you guys go to town?
Here, you can stuff my stocking tonight and dress up now. Well, you know what? That's true love, though, isn't it? Isn't that the definition of true love? Taking a picture of your fat, sweaty husband dressed as Santa Claus for your personal lady time? Yeah,
I guess it is.
All right. Well, if that's not love, then I don't know what is, AD.
Yeah, when you're returning to the holidays and doing things like basting your bird, whipping out pictures of Concept 714 dressed as sweaty claws, drunk, handing out presents to kids.
And I'm fairly sure I was mooning half the time I was reaching for gifts because the pants
Santa's belt
were too low, So and some of the gifts were like far behind the
You're
tree.
like the hip hop sweaty claws. You still sort of honored the hip hop tradition of having some sag.
I wanted to wear them like crisscross.
Concept 714 is our guest on the show today.
That's good to be
Thank you for hanging out.
Let's start the show. Hot 2, hot 3, hot AC from your radio live and uncut tonight.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KBRC, more stimulating talk radio.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
Our guest on the show today is former intern Concept 714, host of the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world. We're catching up. We've decided to studiously avoid the vast majority of all things political around the office today because everybody else is doing that. They're going one direction, we're going to go the other, and we figure it's all just, it's purely theoretical until it becomes a president in practice, which it will next week. And there's going to be plenty to talk about for the next 4 years and beyond, I would imagine. So we're leaving that alone and having a little bit of fun today. Concept, who's been on your show recently? And where can people hear? WakeTheFlockUp.net, F-L-O-K with a K. WakeTheFlockUp.net is where people can listen, right?
Let me get the right sound for this.
Oh, yeah. I like this intro. Teases you.
You're going to wait for the whole... Just
answer
his question.
No, hold on. It drops.
All right.
Where can people listen?
WakeTheFlockUp.net. You check us out. We've recently had Slug from Atmosphere, for those familiar with them. Evidence, Dilated Peoples, LA Legends. We covered Hip Hop Harvest, where we spoke to Exhibit, Method Man and Redman, Corrupt.
You spoke to Exhibit? What's Exhibit doing these days? Like, I actually, here's the thing. Exhibit to me is kind of a sad story of hip hop because I think Exhibit's a really good rapper. But, and like he made songs that I rather enjoyed. I would turn them up rather than turn them down. I would windows down, volume up when Exhibit used to come on the radio back in the day. Right. I made it sound like I had a car. I didn't have a car. I had a skateboard at best. But nevertheless, I like the music of Exhibit. And then he sort of became the Pimp My Ride guy. And after that, I don't think anybody really kind of gave his music a serious look.
Yeah, he tried acting for a little bit. He did a couple movies, but, all I can say is he was a really cool guy. Like, we were waiting in line, and there was like 3 other reporters before us. So, you stand in your semicircle, and then they're like, he gets to us, and he's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And he shakes your hand, and I'm X, nice to meet you. Oh, hey, you doing Concept, blah blah blah. And he's, it was perfectly nice, and then he shook hands and left. So all I can say is when I met him, he was one of the coolest people there. It was awesome.
Very good.
There were some rappers that were problematic, so compared Exhibit was...
who was a problematic rapper? I want to hear.
Okay,
I want to hear.
Well,
spill the dirt. Start beef on our show. Shots fired. Shots fired.
We'll start. No, the game had issues with just going on stage. Like, they couldn't get him to go on stage. So what they did is that the host had to take up like 30 minutes of showtime entertaining the crowd. So you can imagine by the end when you're headlining, that's the last thing the crowd wants is to hear the host talk for 30 minutes. But they couldn't get the game to go on stage. And he was in his dressing room. Like, it wasn't like they couldn't find him. It was like he wasn't done partying yet. And it was almost 1:30, 1:45.
Are you sure he wasn't done partying yet?
I think that's exactly what it was. He wasn't done partying yet.
I'll never forget, like, Paul Wall, who's a buddy of mine, like, friends. We did, like, music together. Like, I remixed some of his music, but we were supposed to play this show.
Yeah.
And we had this thing where Paul Wall was going to come on stage with us.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. We're like, hey, we're going to do this. Where's Paul? oh, wait, hold on a second. And he wouldn't set foot in the building till he was paid in advance. And that was the agreement, and business is business. And I have to say, I respected that, but at the same time, he was like, we got to get this taken care of, but I'll be on stage with you guys in a second. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, no problem. And it comes to pass, like they didn't cough up the loot, and he wouldn't step foot inside the building until he was, as was agreed upon previously, paid in full in advance. And it was an interesting one, and it gave me a different kind of take on musicians that don't necessarily show up in time. I mean, I've spent a good portion of my life on the road being screwed by promoters sometimes not. Usually, like, because my band had like a kind of a very well-respected agent, so we didn't really have that many problems getting paid. But I certainly saw my fair share of promoters trying to screw artists over. But at that level, when you're a person that's had a #1 album, I didn't think that was still part of the game you had to play, where, hey man, no money, no show. Like, it was a weird one. It was definitely an interesting situation. It gave me a different perspective on people that show up on stage late.
It's strange because here's the game, like you saying, selling a platinum. He went platinum multiple times, and so he has money. It's not like he needs to, but maybe that's the issue, is that he feels...
Well, it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like what you need. It's like, we had a deal. You are now not honoring that deal.
Right.
Therefore, you don't get me. You know? So it's... I mean, but who knows? Do you know for a fact that he was just partying? Or perhaps he was taking care of business?
Yeah, I know for a fact he was in his dressing room, because we had the media room was right across the hallway from it, so you could see the door from there, and you saw him walk in, and like 12, 13 people with him, a bunch of girls, a bunch of guys, and they went in there, and then it was time. Hey, game. You hear people just knock in and like, give him some time. I'm calling him, like, and then it was 11:40. It was 12:45. So everyone's getting antsy and anticipating him to come out, and he just doesn't. And at that point, I'm done with all my interviews, so I just leave. And so what I know is I see people walking out of the show, and I'm like, oh, did the game go on? They're like, it's almost 2. He's not going to go. Like, they were just already leaving. They just gave up on him,
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'll never forget stuff like this used to happen in England with Wu-Tang Clan. Like, when I was a kid, Wu-Tang Clan coming over was like the hugest deal ever.
Absolutely,
like teenager Wu-Tang Clan are showing up, and like only 2 of them show up, and I believe I might have been. I wasn't part of a riot. I did not break and destroy things at a venue, but people were doing that around me when it was basically Old Dirty Bastard wandering around the stage out of his mind when it's supposed to be the whole Wu-Tang Clan.
But then I've got a hunch that if I step to you, you'd back right down. Can't see it through your bitch, and you're like Kool-Aid. You're just 10% juice, punk. And I picture my fist smashing through your teeth.
Your destination for stimulation. KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of yous, guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring us on, come on, come on.
So you may be like me. Your musical taste might be quite eclectic and have a heavy concentration in and around the world of hip-hop, and a certain type of hip-hop, independent hip-hop, sort of old-school hip-hop, boom-bap hip-hop. One might refer to it as hip-hop that relies heavily on the MPC sampling drum machine, things of that nature. You might be like me in your musical tastes, or you may not. Doesn't matter. What you should be doing every now and then is listening to, well, in fact, every single day, listening to Wake the Flock Up. WakeTheFlockUp.net is where you can listen. Our guest on the show today is our former intern and host of Wake the Flock Up, #1 hip-hop podcast in the world. And I'll tell you why I think it's the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world. Because whether you are like me and fascinated by this kind of music, Koncept 714 has this innate ability to have a conversation with people. Some of them are some of the hugest artists in the world. Some of them are artists that just released their first mixtape last week. And it doesn't matter, because you make it so fascinating and humanizing and interesting. And you really dig down into the stories of these artists' lives. And understand what makes them interesting. And not only that, not only do you make for great conversation when you talk to these folks, but also you make me listen to their music with renewed interest. Like every single time I listen to Wake the Flock Up, I immediately run to the internet and try and consume as much as possible of the music of your interview subject. It's great stuff. And that is why we were honored to have Koncept 714 on the show today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again. You know, it's really, you've been a huge supporter of mine, D, and I really do appreciate that. You give me a lot of courage and you taught me a lot. So I take what I learned here and I take it back to the podcast.
Very, very good. Yeah. Are you how much closer are you to your goal of realizing your goal of being on Adam Carolla's show? Last we checked in with you. Just a little backstory on our friend Koncept 714. There are two reasons why he's in broadcast media. One, Sway, the noted hip hop DJ who you can hear Sway in the morning on, I believe, Shade 45 on Sirius XM.
That's correct.
You used to see him on MTV all the time. Two would be Adam Carolla, former radio guy, man show co-host turned podcast pioneer that he listens to every single day. And you say you feel incomplete if you go a day without listening to the Carolla podcast, right?
That is correct. I've actually noticed.
And wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You've been working toward this for a significant period of time. You've been showing up at his shows being like, hi, I'm Koncept for a while now, to the point where you're either going to get a restraining order or a job from the guy, I think. And not only that, you've weaseled your way into his compound and you've actually recorded one of your shows there. But like, how did you do that? Like, didn't you like start recording your podcast at Carolla's studio?
No, so the way it happened was he has a producer there who also happens to have his own podcast. And I like that podcast that he has. It's Chris Laxamata. It's called The Resume. So then I'm like, hey, this is awesome. So I hit Chris up and I go, hey, Chris, I love your new podcast. This is what I do. Would you be interested in being a guest? And he's like, oh, you know what? I've heard your show a couple times. I would love to be a guest on Wake the Flock Up. So then I'm thinking, okay, great. This is my in, right? This is my shoe in the door. I'm like, hey, is there, you know what?
Did you tell Chris this? Did you
no,
be like, hey,
you don't tell him, AD.
Like, yeah, bow down so I can step on you in order to get where I'm going. No, never tell him that. Just say it on another radio show later.
Exactly. Go on. So I go, Chris, you know what? I know you're a busy guy. I'll tell you what. I'll come to you, bro. Don't worry.
So gracious of you. I will come to you to Carolla's studio, and I will record the podcast there.
And this is how I word it. I'll go to you. Your house.
Hold on. Did Chris have any notion, do you think, how severely he was being buttered up?
Nope.
Like
none. To this day.
You are a smooth operator, Koncept. Go on.
So I go, Chris.
Sade ain't got nothing on you. Go on.
Nice. I like that reference. I go, Chris, I'll come to you, bro. Of course, you don't have to worry about, look, at your house, your apartment, I don't know, your job. It doesn't matter.
And nobody wants creepy podcast guy from Orange County to come into their home. So naturally, he chose a neutral place of work.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, he's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'll be here all night. Why don't you come and we'll make some time. I'm like, oh, awesome. So I get there and, of course, this is the Carolla, compound. It's all beautiful and it's really just a warehouse. But I walk in and it's like Willy Wonka, everything there. Like, oh my God, the big old picture of Adam and all his awards. And I'm losing it on the inside, but I'm trying to act as cool as I can. And I walk up and Chris.
You must have did you take like a million selfies though? Because I remember when you came out like to where I work to like put me on the show, which was awesome and super convenient and lots of fun. But it's just like I remember seeing on Instagram afterwards, like, here I am in the iHeartRadio parking lot. Yeah. It's about to go down. I was like, dude, he just documented the tarmac outside the building, and that was just for my punk ass. So if you get into the Carolla compound, I would imagine that you probably ran out of space on your phone, lickety freaking split, and that might have tipped your hand a little bit to Chris.
My phone was physically heavier when I left that place.
Very good.
That's
well
how
done.
Many pictures I took. And I got to be honest with you, I took something from the compound, and it's
Wait. Okay. Oh, God. Before you tell me what you took, did you take it so you could call back and be like, I accidentally picked this up. I can come back and drop it off maybe during Adam's show.
No, but I left something with that intention there. Oh, did
Yeah?
I leave that there? Oh, you know what? I'll stop
that's
by
an
sometime
episode of
and-
that is 100,000,000% an episode of Seinfeld. That's what George Costanza does to try and maintain a relationship with a girl that's clearly going to dump him. He leaves a hat in her home, I think it is. It's like
Really?
that Russian hat episode. Yeah, so you George Costanza your way into the Corolla
This is-
complex. What do you wait?
The
Two very
Podfather we're
important.
talking about,
Two very important questions.
I'm listening.
One, what did you take? Two, what did you leave?
Okay. So first, I left a notebook that had some notes and all this stuff, and after I left, I didn't. Okay, I don't want to say it was intentionally I left it there, but I just knew I left without it, you know? And I'm thinking, okay, this is good. Maybe in a couple of days, I'll call, get my foot in the door type deal. But what I took, and I won't get too specific, but it's something that can never be replaced.
You have to tell us, or you're never coming back on this show. What did you take?
It was Adam's coffee mug. And I know it was Adam's coffee mug.
Hold on. Oh God.
What?
Oh God.
I drink out of it every morning.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh. Oh my God. Hold on just a second.
And that I do have a picture of.
Wait, hold on. Did you? I'm going to guess you didn't wash it before you drank out of it. You wanted Corolla DNA on it, right? You didn't wash it. I know this. You can say what you...
Let's just say there's more than Adam's DNA on it now.
Oh, my God. Oh, I think you broke me. Oh my God.
WakeTheFlockUp.net, people. That's where you want to go if you want to want some more of this.
Oh, God. Holy freaking gosh. Well done, Concept.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank
Do you think you're having stolen Adam Carolla's coffee cup? Mm-hmm. Having stolen Adam Carolla's coffee cup and talked about it on the radio on a show that actually does have some listeners and is on some radio stations. Do you think you're ever getting invited back?
It's doubtful. If I was them, I would not invite me
Wait,
back.
when you did you play out the I left my notepad there? Did you email them a couple of days? Did
what
they
happened?
respond?
So what I actually did leave it there unintentionally, right? But as I was walking out, I remember, I don't have my notepad, and I turned to Baca, who was with me. I'm like, Baca, you know why I left my notepad? I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Because in my head, I'm thinking, I can call back. You know, I happen to be in the area anyways. You know,
So-
blah, 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 that kind of stuff.
What was in the notepad? Because that's kind of germane. Because one thing people might not realize
Operation
is that you're actually
Steal Corolla's coffee mug.
Was it your plans for Operation Steal Corolla DNA via coffee cup, or was? See, like, you're also quite an accomplished rapper. Now, if someone didn't know you and just picked. Sorry. It's so funny. I'm literally in tears. I almost blacked out and threw up at the same time. I was laughing so hard. If someone picked up a notebook of your rap lyrics,
Yes.
they would think this guy wants to slice and dice people.
Right.
This guy is an objectionable individual that you want to give a very wide berth because he's an aggressive guy. It's a cathartic process for you. You're rapping. If you meet you, you're happy and or go lucky. You're a cuddly individual that anybody would be happy to spend recreational time with and call friend. If your introduction to Concept 714 was through your rap lyrics, you would think this is a gun-toting guy who will probably drop me if I look at him the wrong way. This is not conducive to you getting invited back into Corolla's place of business. So what was in the notebook?
The notebook, which is, so I separate my MC life from my podcasting life, just because
Sure.
I feel it's, it doesn't cross over too well. So so that was strictly Wake the Flock Up notes. It was just
Okay.
and there was notes specifically about Chris. So it was like Chris, the guy that I was interviewing there, his show, how long he'd been in the
So it made it
band.
look like you responsibly prepped the interview and did your research. So that actually, that shines a good light on you,
Right.
that you came prepared.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You got to respect that.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So look, it wasn't like I said, hey, I'm going to go in there and steal something. It's not what it was. I went in there, and then what they do is they have their faces on their mugs, so the people don't use other people's mugs. I guess that's a big issue in the Corolla world or whatever.
Well,
but,
I don't want, I don't need you. I don't need you drinking out of my coffee cup. I don't need you sipping tea out of my mug. I prefer that to be a one person and one person only deal. So I understand and relate to
but
that.
let me present this to you. You ever heard of like a house that's infested with snakes, right? And then they call the snake handler guy, and they're like, you got to get rid of all these snakes. So what he does is he pours like a salt around the house, right? Like in a circle, and he goes, okay, the snakes won't get in. But what he's not realizing is that now the snakes can't get out from the circle. So when you put Corolla's face on a mug, it's not, nobody uses, it's, hey, Psycho fan, this is a perfect gift to walk away with because it's Corolla's. So you're like, hey, this is awesome. There's plenty of other mugs.
You think the next morning he was like, well, where's my cup, guys?
He had to have been like, everyone else's, where's my cup? Who used it?
Yeah, my face was on it. What the hell, man? What the hell?
Yes.
You listen to the podcast religiously every single day.
Yes.
Since then, has any mention been made of the mysterious missing coffee cup?
So what happens every time he has a guest on, like not every time, but whenever there's somebody that comes to the compound, they're like, man, these guests put their feet up on my couch and I don't want to say nothing. And when I got there a couple of days later, not the day after, but a couple of days, they're like, who did you guys have in here before? And then you can hear the guy say, the Fox Sports guys. When do they come in? Like, what do they come in here for, right? Like, Adam, and that was me and Danny the earlier, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you work for Fox Sports too. Okay, go on.
So they're like, the Fox, what did the Fox Sports guy went here? And what happened to the coffee mugs? Why are they all moved around, right?
Are you kidding me?
No,
They mentioned it on the show?
Yeah, what happened to the cups?
Oh.
And then you could tell like they were off air arguing with each other. But it was just like, oh, that's me. He's talking about
That's me. I've disrupted their program. That's and did you email them or tell Chris, like, I can tell you what happened to the coffee cups?
Yeah, I'm not much for
that was very high pitched. You were musing in a very high pitched way there, Concept, especially for a semi gangster rapper. Like, well, maybe a little bit.
If it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's fine. All true.
Hey,
All true.
we still talk to Gina Grad from the Corolla Show occasionally, don't we? Concept? Like, maybe I should message her and send her a link to this podcast.
Oh no.
Haven't had much go right in a while. Haven't had much of a reason to smile. Haven't had many things go my way. Haven't had many sunny days.
Real radio.
104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
I gotta play you this. America's Funniest Home Videos just aired its 600th episode this past Sunday just gone by, which, if you do the TV math, means they are only, I think, 9 episodes behind The Simpsons. America's Funniest Home Videos has been a ubiquitous part of our culture for longer than we can even remember. And to celebrate, they posted a video of 600 people getting shots to the unmentionables. Am I painting an adequate picture here? They're it's basically 600 takes of people getting hit in the beanbags. And it goes on and on. But,
American television.
It's also, I would imagine America's Funniest Home Videos is kind of sort of regarded in many ways as family entertainment.
Sure.
Not unlike this show. Have you ever, if you're just joining us, our guest on the show today is our former intern, host of the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world, Wake the Flock Up, and Adam Carolla, superfan Concept 714, who just informed us that when he got to enter the Carolla compound to interview Chris from the show, what did he do? Well, he didn't know how many times he would have an opportunity to do something like this, so he decided he would get himself a souvenir. The Carolla compound does not have a gift shop. So our light-fingered friend over here took it upon himself to take something that was rather personal to Adam Carolla, and that would be Adam Carolla's coffee cup. I have one very small experience with theft in my life. I've stolen one thing in my life, and it remained stolen for about 30 seconds before I put it back. I'll never forget. I was probably and I've told this story on the show before, I think, but I was probably in about like the 4th or 5th grade on a field trip at some museum, and there was a gift shop, and I had friends and had heard older kids on the bus talking about, I had friends that talked about stealing. There were older kids on the school bus that talked about stealing and taking sort of like CDs from record stores and stuff like that. And, well, I could never imagine stealing. I'd been raised to believe that it was fundamentally wrong. I would never touch anybody else's stuff without permission. So the idea of stealing was just like crazy to me, and I wanted to know what it was like. But I go into the gift shop at this museum, and I decide I'm going to steal something. And I'm looking around, and I see erasers. Now, this is in England, and it's erasers with the name of the museum on them. And they're 10 pence each, which is, at the time, given the current exchange rate, probably about 17 cents. I pick up an eraser, and I look at it, and I go, that's interesting. And I put my hands down by my sides and surreptitiously drop the eraser into my coat pocket. I have stolen. I have no intention of paying for this. And almost immediately, I am racked and consumed with guilt. I was like, if this is what stealing feels like, I want no part of this. This is so fundamentally wrong. I couldn't hack it. I couldn't. So immediately, I reached into my pocket, and I think I said out loud so that people hear, like, oh, I didn't realize I had this. Better put it back, and put it back. And that was my one experience with taking somebody else's property. It did not last very long, and I don't suppose it's actually theft. It was more intent of theft. Unless I left the premises with said eraser, it doesn't really count as theft. It's just in my pocket, and that's a strange place to put something where if you're intending to pay for it. So it was more the intent than anything else, but it killed me inside. So let me ask you this. Outside of Adam Carolla's personal coffee cup, have you ever stolen anything else in your life? Because I would never have the stones to steal it. What did you do? I mean, like, a coffee cup's not a big thing, but it's also like you can't just throw it in your bag because it might break. And, it's just big enough to create a surreptitious lump in your coat where you go, hey, did that guy we've never met before take something? Like, how'd you do it?
I threw it in my bag. There wasn't much to it. It was Adam Carolla's face is on this coffee mug.
I'm surrounded by guys that stole stuff from Adam Carolla. I
Are
had a
you
roommate
really?
10 years ago, right when he started, after he replaced Stern.
Yeah.
Somebody brought him a bottle of wine and left it on the receptionist counter. Congratulations! And a roommate of mine who also worked at the station, on our Friday on our way out, he just said, oh, free bottle of wine. Took the name tag off, threw the name tag in the trash, and, adopted the bottle of wine from Adam Carolla.
Right.
And it wasn't until about 2 weeks later where, like, everybody, including all the general managers, reviewed the tapes.
Ooh.
And
No kidding.
Homeboy got fired.
Sure.
And I almost got fired, but I was oblivious. I didn't know that he actually stole the wine.
Right.
I just, I was with him, but I didn't see him do it.
Yeah.
And you saw it on video that I didn't see it.
Oh.
But man, what is this trend?
That seems worse than mine, just because like he wanted to get drunk. I just want the cup because it's
Yeah,
like,
yours was more sort of
No?
like
Innocent, almost,
super
right?
fan out of control.
Oh,
Yours
yeah.
was more like, like you didn't actually go, here's his property, I'm going to take it because I want to drink this wine and he probably gets enough free wine, and F that guy, I'm going to take this home and get drunk. And yours was like, I need a piece of this man. Where's something with his DNA on it so perhaps I can clone him and have him as a little pet Corolla and love it and keep it locked in a closet and slide pizzas under the door while it's like that yours was more sort of creepy fan related theft as opposed to I want this, so I'm going to take it.
Yeah, mine was legitimate.
Yeah,
I had a bad roommate.
Yeah, the dude had a problem. No, but I use it, and I'm proud of it. So,
I don't know if you're using the word proud right. I think perhaps you should go back to the dictionary and read it before you slip it into conversation too many more times. But, maybe you just feel like it's community property. Maybe you just feel sort of like in a kind of existential hippie sort of way. I'm a fan. He's sort of mine. Therefore, ergo, this is sort of mine. It's weird. It's very, very strange that sort of like attitude still exists. It's very odd that hippies still exist, as comedian Louis Katz pointed out.
I'm originally from California. California's a weird place because for some reason there's still hippies out there to this day. I never understood that. That's the only group that's still around, right? Hippies. You never run to a beatnik, right? Never see a flapper Charleston and get down the street. Right? Yet for some reason there's still hippies. I had this hippie roommate for a while. Her name was Juggle Sticks. She was so annoying. Juggle Sticks was the kind of person who insisted everything she bought had to be organic. She actually used, instead of a regular chemical-based deodorant, she used a crystal for deodorant. Anyone heard this before? Yeah? Yeah, you know how it works? Doesn't, all right? She's stuck.
To get washed away.
Real radio. Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Our guest on the show today is Koncept 714, our former intern, host of the #1 hip-hop podcast in the world, Corolla superfan, and we found out thief of a property belonging to Adam Carolla. Stole Carolla's coffee cup, not so much because he needed a coffee cup, more because he is probably still Carolla's #1 fan. And so Koncept has caught us up on his past couple of months. At Christmas time, he played Santa Claus. He drank like a fifth of rum, got really drunk, started to sweat profusely. His pants sagged down because he was the hip-hop sweaty Claus, and we found that there are pictures of this in evidence, which we hope to be able to post to the interwebs in the not-too-distant future. To catch you up, Koncept, on what's been going on around here, I don't know if you caught it or not. I don't know how often you listen to this show, so you listen to it. But super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhauser, is footloose and fancy free again. Funk is on the prowl looking for women, as he has found himself to be single not so long ago.
I heard about this.
Yeah, because
Funk.
you've been listening to the show, right?
You guys been reading fake news again?
Yeah. Well,
this is being blown way out of proportion.
Well, I only bring it up. Because there is now a dating site for Trump fans. Like, he felt as though he'd exhausted all his methods of meeting people on the interwebs. He did that thing Bumble, where, like, women approach you. He was over Tinder and stuff like that. He didn't want to pay for Match.com because he's done that in the past and it hasn't worked out for him. It hasn't worked out well for him on the internet. He's gone to yoga classes in college towns where lots of young, tight, hard bodies are downward facing their dog in front of him, and still Funkhauser remains single. So when it came to pass that there is a dating site exclusively for Trump fans, and we are in the political talk arena, I thought to myself, hey, Funkhauser should probably know about this. How does the Trump dating site work? Well, we'll get into it after we do some news. Go ahead, Funkhauser, read the news, and Koncept and I will react to it.
After Donald Trump is officially sworn in tomorrow, he'll receive his new Secret Service nickname.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yes. IP freely. Go on.
Vladimir Putin.
You know what? Like, did you see SNL this past weekend just gone by? Like, Weekend Update?
So good. They're so good.
Well, I mean, Michael Che pointed out something that, and I didn't know how to relate it to, but I was just like, this could be a complete fabrication. This might be in no way, shape, or form true. The story of Russian prostitutes doing things of a digestive nature. Well, you're excreting stuff. Like, it has to do with your digestive. This idea of Donald Trump and the Russian prostitutes and them doing the things that they've alleged to do might be completely false, fake, utter fabrications. I did a Twitter poll on it, and, people were pretty split on the whole thing. But it does not matter. As they pointed out, he will be stuck with this for the rest of time. Like, in perpetuity, he will go down in history as that guy. And Michael Che pointed out, you want to know why? Because when you hear the name Richard Gere, you don't think incredible actress that was in the incredible movie Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. You think of gerbils, and you always will. And there could be another completely apocryphal story, but we don't know. And for the rest of time, people assume that it is true. And it's kind of a wildly unfortunate thing to have to happen to anyone. Go on, what else?
Vladimir Putin says...
Wait, wrong accent, go on.
Journalists who spread fake news are worse than prostitutes. But then he added that Russian prostitutes are the best in the world.
Oh. Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm losing my Russian accent.
Yeah, well, I mean,
need to hang out with more Russians, I think.
I think it'll come back. We're like this whole this whole Russian interference with our election thing doesn't appear like it's going away, and it will never be resolved. No one will ever know the truth. People will be presented documents that say this conclusively proves one thing or another, and then half the country will be like, it's not true because of this. It doesn't matter. Like, the more we know, don't you find that the more we know with the spread of digital information, the further and further we get away from the truth, the more information that is provided to us, the more of it is contradictory, and the further off in the distance the truth seems. Seems like the truth is a vague concept. Like the whole report, the whole dossier, as people have taken to calling it, that BuzzFeed decided to put up, which was immediately criticized for being fake news. And even people, the leftiest of the left-wing journalists were like, this is not responsible journalism. This is not how you do things. And BuzzFeed went, at what point were we considered to be responsible journalists? If you want to know which member of the cast of Friends you're more like, you come to us. This was something that's been circulating for a while, and we thought the American public should have a chance to look at it and make up their own mind about it. Like, stuff like this wouldn't have come to light back in the day, or if it did, it would be, sure, yeah, it's absolutely on display. You got to go to DC, you got to go to the basement of this, you got to ask this guy called Lenny for the key, you got to put 50 cents in the meter so the lights will come on for a little bit, and then you can read the whole report. Like, now it's up on the internet, and the way information is spread in 2017 and beyond is just unlike anything we've ever experienced in the past. So there was probably plenty of instances of this kind of thing throughout history that never got the attention that they're going to get now and going to get moving forward because, well, like I said, information is so readily available in the digital age, and the more of it you get, the more of it will be contradictory, and the further and further away you're going to feel like you are from the truth. And for that reason, it's more important now, more than ever, to know which direction your moral compass's true north is, and follow your own heart and have your own convictions and believe what you believe and not be swayed by all the noise that you're going to be surrounded by for the future. It's basically going to come down to, I want to be a good person, so I'm going to go out and be a good person. F what everybody else is saying. I know in my heart that I'm doing good. I'm going to try and do good for my fellow man. And that's going to be pretty much it, because that will be the only truth that's left, your truth. The rest will be obscured by the digital noise. Go on, Funkhauser.
Garth Brooks says that he can't perform at Trump's inauguration due to a scheduling conflict.
Oh, well. Yeah, I guess Friday happens to be the night he needs to stay home and wash his hat. Go on.
The names of the headliners that will play at Donald Trump's inaugural balls are being kept under
where are they going to play? Where are the headliners going to play?
You heard
Where are they going to play? Where are the headliners going to play? At what?
At Donald Trump's inaugural balls.
So there's multiple.
There's more than one.
Plural. There's a pair.
Okay, so
at least one.
Go on. Finish the headline. Read it again from the beginning.
The names of the headliners that will play at Donald Trump's inaugural balls are being kept under wraps because of fears of retribution.
Yeah, so like there's the actual inauguration, and we know that Three Doors Down and Toby Keith and folks like that are going to be playing, but there are Donald Trump's inaugural balls. And who's going to be playing with at Donald Trump's inaugural balls? Well, the entertainment has been kept quiet because, like Funkhauser said, of fears of retribution. Although, if I had to guess, here's a hint. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that their names rhyme with Skid Crock and Ned Tugent. Go on.
Oh, my God.
Rob Schneider is under fire for sending a tweet criticizing civil rights legend John Lewis.
We did a whole thing on this on the show the other day. Rob Schneider was like, hey, John Lewis, guy that marched with Martin Luther King, you might not be aware of this, but this is how Martin Luther King won the civil rights battle, by not giving into his anger and hate. And people went, hold on, did the Making Copies guy just do that? And you know, look, the message of...
Really? You know, he has like 20 years of work after that.
Yeah. No, he's oh no, we suck again, and you can do it. Like those are his defining moments, like that, and being known as the guy that's managed to stay balanced on Adam Sandler's coattails for 2 decades. That's Rob Schneider's calling card. And by the way, I actually really enjoy his work. Like, I'm a fan of his, but his lack of
gigolo, stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I look, I enjoy stupid comedy like that. And I don't think he would be mad if I called Deuce Bigalow European Gigolo stupid, because in essence, it's kind of stupid. But the thing about...
One of the greatest films of all time, bro.
It's just a matter of context. It's just a matter of context. You might have kind of a valid point, but like, read the room a bit. You've been a stand-up comic for your entire career. Read the room. Understand that you are maybe not the guy to be tweeting this on that particular day. So it was kind of shocking. And I believe the most shocking part for a lot of people was that people are still reading Rob Schneider's tweets. Go on.
Bruce Springsteen cover band has backed out of performing at the inauguration of out of respect for the boss.
Right. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Well, so like, and I had to double take the headline too.
Yeah.
Because there could not be a more lefty political musician than Bruce Springsteen. And so you just see the words Bruce Springsteen playing inauguration, and then you do a double take and you see that it reads Bruce Springsteen cover band playing the inauguration. But now, they backed out of it because they were just like, and it was Trump like, well, I can't get the boss, so I'm going to get a Springsteen cover band. They were having a Springsteen cover band play the inauguration, and now, out of respect for Bruce Springsteen, out of respect for the boss, they've backed out of it. And plus, I believe their actual boss at Guitar Center wouldn't give them the day off. Go on.
Hold on, AD, let me ask you something really quick, though.
Oh, please.
How much? Okay, so here's Trump gonna go in with the worst approval rating in like history, right? It's just like no one has had.
By
this
the way,
low.
that's Trump would like you to know that that's fake approval rating.
It's fake approval rating.
Well, Donald Trump's approval rating as he heads into office, I believe, is at around 40%, which is the lowest of the last 7 incoming presidents. President Obama's was twice that. And Trump responded by tweeting, quote, the same people who did the phony election polls and were so wrong are now doing approval rating polls. They are rigged just like before. And you know what? The one place where you have to kind of like go, he makes a valid point, is polling. Like getting a feel for how the country is going to lean politically speaking one way or another. Polling was those guys, everybody responsible that's made a living off of taking the political temperature of the country of America for the past 5 years, hopefully were on the unemployment line the day after the election, because boy, did they get it wrong. So Trump makes a...
But I propose this. Okay, this is literally going to be the most powerful man in the world, and he can't pay a band enough money to perform because they decided it's a bad business move on their half. Like, it's a bad career choice to perform here, Mr. President. I'm sorry. That doesn't count for anything?
he can't come up with enough money for people to flush their career down the toilet, and that's the thing. And I'm not taking a political side when I say that. I'm saying that, like, say you are, for argument's sake, let's take the least Trumpy band with the least Trumpy fans ever. Say you're Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
And you go, you know what? It's a chance for us to get on stage and say how we feel. We're going to play Trump's inauguration, which they're actually playing sort of an anti-Trump inauguration with Prophets of Rage and Audio Slave. So that's obviously not happening. But you will have then smoked it with your millions upon millions of fans. And as Koncept can tell you, there is absolutely nothing like getting on stage and entertaining people. It's a unique thrill that can't be recreated anywhere. And if you alienate your legions of fans, no matter what your political beliefs are, you don't get to go do that anymore. So no, there's probably not enough money in Trump's coffers to convince someone that loves getting on stage that by playing this one thing, it's going to be worth the fact that they're not really going to be able to do that again anymore. Thank you, Koncept 714. As always, the time flies when you are here. We will see you again in the not too distant future.
Absolutely.
When we have a new president of these United States of America and leader of the huge free world. Big league.